din punctul meu de vedere, microsegmentarea e un lucru destul de interesant, care ne pot aduce foarte multă valoare din punct de vedere al security-ului, dar întotdeauna problema cea mai mare este vizibilitatea. Dacă mai întâi, înainte să putem să facem microsegmentare, trebuie să facem discovery, să vedem ce avem acolo. Și mereu, asta mi-aduce aminte de un banc. Era un tânăr student, se ducea și la biserică, se ruga la Dumnezeu și zicea: Doamne, să îmi găsesc și eu o soție frumoasă, deșteaptă, care să nu mă înșele, sau dacă mă înșeală, măcar să nu aflu. Asta se întâmplă de multe ori cu vizibilitatea. Uneori poate nu dorim să aflăm ce e acolo. Acum o să rămânem tot în zona aplicațiilor și o să invit pe Lupo să ne povestească puțin despre cum ne poate ajuta F5 în acest domeniu. Bun.
So, good afternoon. Sorry for ruining this event with my English, but the organizer chose to have me here, so we have to survive. So, I'm going to talk about the API security and also about how to automate it, because I think it's quite important, because we are still struggling with the amount of the engineers, and there are some other topics that we would like to cover. But the first thing first, so we need to understand how the society is changing. So first, at the very beginning, there was the capital of the physical capital. So there was a machinery, we were producing something in a big quantity, and everybody was happy about this, you know, this kind of the Ford and some other manufacturers. Later on, then there was the human capital, so that's still big companies like IBM or some other consultancy companies. And slowly, but especially for our kids, it will be like new reality, where we are moving to the era where there will be the application capital. You know, all these huge acquisitions, like things like WhatsApp for billions, it's not producing any money, but they are buying. So there has to be something why these companies like Revolut and the Waze and all other connecting and getting all the data. So why it's so? It is because the data is the new oil. It's going to be the most expensive thing on the planet, and everybody is trying to capture the data. All the new fintech companies, all the companies, we are just trying to collect more and more data for any kind of purposes, whether it's going to be about artificial intelligence or any kind of things. But we are all talking about data. But the data, without any kind of interface or interaction, it's absolutely useless. So we need to have some kind of way to interact with the data, either from the perspective of the user, so you can fill in the data, or if you are, you know, data scientist, so you can extract the data. So you need to have some applications, so actually to get the data. So now, obviously, we are building more and more applications to get, so everybody's programming like hell, everybody's is learning the Python, and everybody just building some new things. And but it's all changing. So we should take a little bit on the history as well. So how we build applications and how we are building the application right now. So in the past, obviously, we were building huge monolithic applications. It was the deployment cycle was like once per year or once per 3 years, and when you needed some page, it took quite a long time. But then, I think it was like some conference in 2008, and some guys went on stage and they started to, hey guys, we are going to deploy 3 times per week. And the crowd was like, no, you're crazy, that's not possible. But they started to speak at this conference, and they started to explain how they would going to achieve it and what will be the way to build this new application, which will be not huge and monolithic, but it will contain a lot of small microservices, small applications interconnected with APIs. And after this conference, actually, it all started with all this craziness about the DevOps and all automating the things. So basically, now we are moving from the cycle where there is one deployment per year, huge one, when everybody is just in the office for a week and preparing for deployment, for something like this continuous deployment. When we continuously are getting the feedback, even during the process, we are trying to improve the application, we release the application, we need, with the release, also to have all the infrastructure ready. So it's not just that somebody will open the support ticket and they will configure networking, some other guys will go and just configure the security. We need to automate, we need to be as fast as possible. So we need to have some self-service where we can just consume the application and even consume the networking and the security as a service as fast as possible. And then moving, understanding what is good, what is bad. You know, like yesterday, Elon Musk, he learned that something was wrong, so he just blew up the rocket. So it was the failure, but he learned from that, and now we will improve. So you understand what's going on, you gather the feedback, and you process with the new, better version. So this is the new world that we are facing now. And just the real example, maybe you know that these fintech companies like the Monzo, Revolut, and others, and basically this is the whole bank which is living in your mobile phone. And these guys are really moving very fast. So for instance, they are having 1,500 microservices in their network to operate this application. And basically, as you can see, each of these dots is the microservice, and each of these blue lines is the networking group. So imagine something like this managing by the human. So a lot of errors, a lot of delays. So we need to, they need to automate as fast as possible to be able and to be really leading the market. And also, as for the security, so it's not just us. I'm using this code. It is not just us who has our budgets and our managers. Also, the attackers, they have their own budgets and their own managers. You know, they have managing different ways, but it's the same way. But they see the potential. As these applications are growing rapidly, these microservices are growing like hell. So previously I had on this slide from 2022, as see that Gartner was saying that this will be the most targeted part of the application. So now they are saying that next year it will basically, these breaches on API will double. So this is also the reality. So we need to keep up. So if we are going to deploy the application 3 times per week, how we are going to keep up with the security? We need also to automate as well. And also, what is the modern app? So all these new terms and services, you know, that Node.js, I don't know, Python, OpenID, nobody's knowing things like LDAP and RAIDs, everybody's just using these modern technologies. The Mongo, because everybody, I hate SQL because there can be SQL injection, so rather I will do no SQL, it's better, everything you know is better. And over even the things like even the serverless, let's do the serverless, because if there are no servers, how can they hack us actually? So all these new things are happening, and you may think, okay, so but how all the traditional vendors can help us with our security, how they can whatever provide. Let me tell you a secret. Let me introduce this to this security castle of the modern application. Because the funny thing is that all technologies that we know for the years are still present in the modern application. So whatever there can be, like, you know, this on this tower DDoS attack, it can be also modern applications are vulnerable to DDoS attacks, and then you have these slow attackers, these slow defenders. They are always like you are under the DDoS, and you have to take a few hours to resolve. And also the things like guessing the password. It is the same thing. Like even if it is no SQL database, you can do SQL injection as well to this database. There are techniques how to do it. And all these modern technologies like OpenID Connect, OAuth, and all these things. Basically, those are just HTTP requests, which we know for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. So still, that's based on the cookies, based on the header. So nothing new, nothing special. Yeah, I already mentioned the guessing password. And just bonus question, you know, what does it stand this for? Who is good in Hexa? It's translated to NSA. It is just joke on this supply chain attacks, which can happen all the time. As we are building our new modern application or existing. So there is no single coder these days to be programming in C language. Everybody's just doing high-level languages, so everybody's just consuming something which already exists, the libraries and some other stacks that are just building on something which is already existing. So there can be a lot of backdoors that already exist in this systems. So, and then our beloved developers. At the beginning of the project, they are magicians, they can deliver everything. At the end of the project, the situation is usually different. We are struggling usually to deliver the projects on times. But these guys they are different. Yes, the developers are different. We need to agree. But they are very smart. They are trying to simplify their life. So, for instance, what they do to test, to document, to even deploy applications. So they are using something which is called the Swagger file or OpenAPI file. And basically this file is full description of the application. So if the application contains any kind of shop, interaction, settings, whatever. So it's part usually of this Swagger file, and usually all these modern applications are built with this intention. So they can be very fast with deploying, and we should basically keep and learn what is good. And this is one of the things we should keep from them and learn. So why I'm mentioning this and how this is finally, you see I'm trying to avoid product placing as much as possible. Finally, let me tell you how you can utilize this. So basically you can take this Swagger file, which is basically JSON file, which is human readable, so everybody can understand JSON, I hope so. And basically you can take this file and you can use it in the modern applications deployment in the security. So instead of really building, like usually I'm recommending like let the 2 weeks to build the security policy for the WAF, and then go back and fine tune and go back and forth and everybody upset that's not working. So rather you can take this Swagger file basically and you can import it as an API security policy in a F5 WAF like this. So you can choose just this is going to be API security protection, and you choose the Swagger file basically. And even though usually for vast majority, not just our clients, but generally speaking, WAF deployments on this planet, they are usually either turned off or in transparent mode. Why? It's because the security is that hard. But as you can see, once you enable the policy template as API security, the F5 is so brave that it's automatically switched to the blocking. So this is very beneficial because finally you don't have to really learn how the whole application look like and what is contents of, but rather you can go directly to the blocking from the day one. So this is very important. And the same thing if you are more advanced and you don't, I don't know, like maybe the on-prem solutions and you are looking for maybe something as a service. You can also consume the same way, and you can do it the same way in the configuration in our distributed cloud, and basically just to upload this Swagger file there. So from this point, automatically all the building points, all the URLs, all the parameters, all the values, so everything the web application firewall knows, and it can start enforcing. So we are basically here combining the two things, the positive and negative security. The positive means that you are describing and letting them know what is good, and on top of it you can just add attack signatures. So this is a very good approach because this gives you very strong security policy. Normally this would take you really weeks to really build such a good security policy with all the details. And even if I'm telling the customers often that, hey, you should learn probably at least what kind of file types you have in the application, what kind of URLs, so this is the thing. But I'm strongly advocating against like using any parameters. This is crazy. These parameters are changing so often that they are usually not able to keep up. But with this, as you can see from this Swagger file, I can completely read the parameters, and for per URL even. So it's extremely strict security policy, and you learn it just in a second. As soon as you upload the file, your security policy is ready. On top of it, even if you are talking about some things like cloud security and deployment maybe in a public cloud, although you can deploy all this solution on-prem as well from F5. So here, as you can see, we can import the Swagger file as well. We can do discovery, and we can even detect the shadow of API file. So it is the thing which users or bad guys are using in your application, and even the developers are not aware that should be something part of your application. And on top of it, on each of these endpoints, basically you can click and you can just get all the telemetry data and the data that may be interesting even for your DevOps or applications guys. So error rate, all the latency, request sizes, responses, and then you can even have the visibility what and where, which of these basically endpoints your customers are using, or maybe which of the parts of the applications are completely useless. So this is also quite beneficial. So I would like to stop for a moment. If there are any security professionals, usually they are stopping me after this presentation saying, hey, should I quit my job? So why I'm needed? So I will just let the developers to control my WAF and security. So what should I do? Saying no, we should be smart. We should develop. So from going to GUI and changing the GUI, we should rather evolve and start building the way the developers are using. So how it can look like, so how your WAF can be part of your CI/CD pipeline, so how this whole process can be automated. So let's say you have some SecOps guys which are responsible for the building security policy. So you prepare the whole security policy. It is not like that you let these crazy developers to control your security. No, this is what we don't want to do. So you really prepare the security policy. You prepare the security file. So only difference is that in past it was the GUI when you were clicking this file. This times you will create some template, which is like security template policy that you can use. It can be JSON, easy to edit, easy to consume, easy to update if it is needed. And then you deploy it on some API security WAF. Of course, you can do it on live traffic, but in good CI/CD pipeline, you get something like canary traffic, or so you means like 80 to 20, you split the traffic, you test the new policy on this or blue grid deployment, on the grid traffic, so some testers, you test the policy, and you observe. So immediately, instead of maybe, you can always use some traditional methods, but for just to be also good friend with all these DevOps, you can also set some webhooks to Teams, to Slack channel. So as the developers deploy the new application, so they have usually the Slack channel where they see all the inputs. The same way they can do all the inputs from the WAF, so they're pretty happy. And they can basically do the monitoring, so they can see if they see, hey, I see too many blocking events and something is wrong, we should modify it. And you should also generate the new policy suggestion. So it means what should be changed to resolve the issue which was maybe reported to the job. So finally, you combine all this data. Again, you put it to some source of trust, so or something where you are storing all this information. So nowadays it's Git. Everybody's storing everything in Git. So this is modern, fancy. So let's do it. You store it there. And basically then the process continues. So you store it, again, the security team reviews the policy, they prepare the new policy file, they deploy, and they can continue. So this is the way how you can basically manage all this security policy and the process, and how you can fully automate the WAF. So if anything changes, it is way faster to deploy it this way. So how does it look like? So you can see on this right-hand side example of the Swagger file. So as you can see, it's human readable, so you can understand that these are the parameters, there are the values, so what's going on in there. And basically, you can build a security policy. So you need the Swagger file, and you need basically the security policy in JSON file. So this is the component we put together. Then basically you are building very strong positive security. Again, as I mentioned, so you are really specifying which should be the part of your application. Already mentioned no learning, so you can go to the production from the day one, basically, with the blocking stage. And basically you can have this all in all possible flavors. So whether you prefer to have it as a network appliance, or it can be in a container as an Nginx, or it can be as a service in the cloud. So then about the security policy, again, don't get scared. So in the past, yes, we had the GUI, and we still have the GUI, and you can export actually from the GUI to JSON. But again, the policy is also human readable. So for those who are familiar with F5 solution WAF, so you can recognize some block. Yes, enforcement is blocking. We are protecting Node.js, Linux system, and then the MongoDB database. And here, at the very bottom, you can see that even you can instruct the WAF itself to pull the Swagger file from an external resource. So this is also the way. So you don't have to upload it, but the WAF will automatically pull it from your resource control management or something like that. So instead of doing in the GUI, So this is the way how you can easily implement it in a CI/CD fashion. And just there are some more additions as F5 and probably all the security vendors are moving more towards the cloud. So we are considering and adding even more features to our cloud offering. But again, it is called distributed cloud, but you can also deploy it in your data center if you want to. And there are some new features. So for instance, like this malicious users, where we are basically using machine learning. It is modern these days, obviously. We are using machine learning to evaluate what the user is doing. So whether the user is just my mom, which is just first time wrongly type in the password, or it is somebody who is constantly changing the password, making some malicious requests. So we will just raise the score, and the score of the user will hit 100%, so that the user is going to be blocked. So it was fast and forward. So there you have basically three options how you can deploy this. As I mentioned, as an appliance, if you prefer this one, it can be in a container as an Nginx AppProtect, or it can be in a F5 distributed cloud as a service. So that's it. I made it. I think I was the last standing point between you and the lunch. So that's it from my side. Hopefully you like it and enjoy it. Thank you very much.